Hey everyone, so this video is going to serve two purposes. It's going to be part tutorial. We're going to make a simple staircase, and then at the end we will use this as a demonstration for three enhancements that I think would make KenShape better. One of them I've mentioned in the past, so that'll be the last one that I mentioned because I don't want to waste anyone's time. And let's just get started with this. So let's take a 32 by 32 canvas. Now, if you're not familiar with KenShape, the way it works is you draw a 2D image and KenShape turns it into a 3D model. So let's go ahead and draw that 2D image. We're just going to do two staircases, one on the left, one on the right, and there will be like a carpet down the middle, like as if it's going into like some kind of royal chamber or something. So we're going to take the line tool, we're going to take the vertical mirror, we're going to use the square shape, and we're going to use gray since it's meant to be like stone or concrete or something like that. Let's take the fill tool. It looks like this one could be one more to try to keep the width consistent in case you have to stack and tile this object. And now let's draw the carpet. So we'll take red. And maybe if this is leading into another chamber, you would do something like that at the top as well. Okay, so it doesn't look like much because it's a 2D image, but once you follow the workflow and you click on depth, you can see that it's now a 3D model. It's flat, but it is a 3D model. And so now we have to add the levels of depth or extrusion. So as you can see, it's all set to 1. So what we need to do is we change this to 2, and then we start to make the steps. So let's see, let's make them 4 each. So let's do 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we'll go to 3. And we'll make this one more so it's level, and then we'll make the top 7. So as you can see, we almost ran out of extrusions, levels of extrusion. So there's only a maximum of 8. So if I had more levels of extrusion, then I could have made these, oops, sorry, a little bit of touch up. And it looks like we missed a couple at the top. And by we, I mean me. Okay, and still one more missing over there. What is I'm looking at the model here, and I'm just looking for where there are holes. Okay. So to make this flush, I could only use I could only use 7 levels of extrusion. I had to make these 4 deep. So if I'd made these 3 deep, 8 would have ended somewhere around here. So if you're trying to have this consistent size, you can't do it with only 8 levels of extrusion. Now this doesn't look quite right yet, so let's move to the next step. We'll go to model, and then we'll push it all in one direction. And there, so now it looks more like a staircase. So that is the first recommendation, is that we really need more than 8. I'd say maybe 16 would do it. Again, it's an arbitrary cutoff. There are certainly certain shapes that 8 is sufficient for. I won't go into them now, but if you go up here and you click on open, if you navigate to, I believe it's the examples folder, there are a whole bunch of shapes that are included with this. But if you're making your own shape, you're really limited to what you can do. That you're probably not going to make environmental objects. You could make certain consumable objects like a bottle, things like that. Maybe a small prop, like maybe like a little, I think they have like a scooter or a mini bike. But if you're looking to make environmental assets, it is my opinion that you simply can't, that you can't do it with only 8 levels of depth. So you'd wind up having to make your model out of several different models, and you certainly could do that. But again, the idea of a model is you really should be able to do it in one fell swoop. That you shouldn't have to, like if I'm making a staircase, yes, you can tile an object, you can stack these objects, but if you're looking for a more complex environmental object, you simply can't, in my opinion. So that's the first thing I'd like to see, is that rather than just having 8, maybe bump it up to 16. Any limitation is arbitrary. I don't know of any kind of technological limitation to it. I do know that on the initial not the drawing screen, excuse me, the Canvas Select screen, when you choose 64 by 64, they do warn of slowdown. I haven't seen any issues on my computer, but because of the nature of this asset, it probably would run even on much older computers, so maybe that's what they're thinking of. Mine isn't exactly new. It's like over 3 years old now and wasn't exactly high end then. So I haven't seen any slowdown issues, but again, I think that they try to make these compatible with as many systems as possible. But having said that, again, I don't think that's sufficient level of depth to only be able to do 8 levels of depth. So that's the first thing. Second one is detailing. So what I'd like to see, so the first recommendation, as I mentioned, is really just an enhancement of the current functionality. Extend the current functionality. It's not new functionality. The second request is new functionality. I'd like there to be a new step in the workflow where you can then do detailing, because all these colors go through and through. Now, if this is like flat on the floor, you won't see it, but you might have situations where edges are seen and you'd want to be able to cover them up. So I'd like there to be a detailing step where, just as here, you can draw on X and Y, I would like an extra detailing step here where I can then draw on any block and change just that clickable block. So you're not changing any blocks inside, you're only changing the surface. So I'd like that to be a new feature. I could almost guarantee we won't ever see anything like that, because from what I gather, they want this to be like a super simple tool, and that is absolutely their choice. So I personally wouldn't hold my breath, but I think that would make this much more versatile. So more levels of depth extrusion, being able to have a final detailing step at the end, and then the third one, which I've mentioned before, which I'll just mention briefly, and that is having block by block extrusion direction. So right now you can choose symmetrical extrusion. So in that case, you're really drawing the plane in the middle, and then it extrudes out left and right. And then you have extrusion all in one direction, extrusion all in the other direction. But what you do not have is the ability to, on a block by block basis, say this block is going to be extruded forward, this one will be back, this one will be in both directions. So these three settings, being able to do that on a block by block basis. I know they have the ability to store that information, because in depth you have a scatter up here where you can do a scatter of the extrusion, and it will randomly go forward, back, or in both directions. So I know they have the ability to store that information. They just don't give us the ability to actually manually do that. So how would that look like? Well, there would just again be another step in the workflow. It'd look like this one. So it would have, rather than numbers though, it would say something like F, B, and C, forward, back, and center. So you'd have like F, B, C, and then on a block by block basis, you could say if it extrudes forward, if it extrudes backward, or if it's symmetrical, that it's the center. Okay, so I think that's about it. I hope this was useful. Like I said, this was just meant to be a super simple tutorial, how to make a simple staircase, and then the rest, as I said, I would use this as a recommendation. And you can do even more detail than this. Like you could have, say, expanded this out one more. You could have done, at that point, what you would could do is say you wanted there to be trim, like a yellow trim to the carpet. Let's see, so we've got 2 blocks there, 2 blocks there, so we'll do this one and there. So a little bit fancier. Now your carpet has like a yellow trim to it. Okay, so again, I hope that you found this useful, and please do enjoy the rest of your day, and feel free to put any comments if there's enhancements that you'd like to see. Again, I realize that my channel doesn't have much reach, but it's still a fun discussion to engage in, and please enjoy the rest of your day.